This is actually my old bowler hat, but somebody said give it a bit of a brush with some water and let it dry off, and it'll harden up and come up nice. And actually, it has. So I was very impressed with that. I just thought I would try that out. So that's been rather good. Let me just hang my jacket up a second. Hang on a sec. So this day, I've got a number of things I wanted to. Sorry about that. Wanted to chat to you about. The simple life, I suppose, is where I'm going in my quest for England and Englishness. I've been looking back and reading my books, especially these Dorothy Hartley books, which have been fantastic to read. Food in England and This Land in England, and England, people made this, and looking back at some of the stuff that people did in the old days. And it's a bit of a recurring theme at the moment, talking about, I suppose, the modern world and the fast-paced world that we have, and the slightly older pace. And I often refer to, have we thrown the baby out with the bathwater? That it's almost a fear of looking back and thinking that there were elements of the past that were good. And it's almost as if we've got to have blinkers on and not look at that at all. And that's a shame, because while I'm not suggesting for one moment that we all throw away everything that's come to us in the modern era, after all, I make videos in a digital format and put them up onto the internet, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that some of the elements of the past are pretty good. And I've been doing some interesting things, really. I've been trying to, avoid screens. Now, the irony is, as I just said, I make videos for YouTube, as you know, but one of the things I'm trying to do is to take myself away from social media and reduce my YouTube viewing. I got rid of the television some years ago, and I revoked my television license about 2 years ago, so I no longer pay that. So what do I do in the evenings, you might ask yourself? How do you get through? And isn't it the irony, in a way, that we have this wonderful world and people just flop in front of the television and let people act out people's interests on the screen, but they don't do it themselves. And we've almost, with the machines as well, we've almost got rid of all those menial jobs that we hate so much for some reason, and let machines do them. And in my look back and pick out the good from the old and bring into my modern life, although you may think this is me just desperately trying to get back, is looking for those things, the joy that made life interesting. And so instead of watching the television and sitting there and letting other people have the pleasure, I want to utilize that time. I don't want to waste time. As you get older, you realize actually maybe you haven't got as long as you think. There are pollutants in foods, there's pollutants in the atmosphere, there's stress, and that we've just come through a pandemic, or so-called, but let's not worry too much about that in this video. And we may be living on borrowed time, or maybe it's just the lifestyles that are affecting us, and that we've actually got longer if we take a slower pace, relax a bit more, and enjoy life more. And perhaps for me, and this is only my story, my journey, we have to put these caveats into things, because I'm not preaching and I'm not telling other people how to live their lives. People do tend to sort of get a little bit, oh, you're telling us what we should do and we disagree with you. No. This is just my choice, my life, and I'm sharing it with you. What I've found I like to do now of an evening, here we go, look, my walking boots. These were bought for me very generously. I have some very lovely and generous viewers, and they bought for me a year or so ago now some lovely walking boots. And what I've started to find I'm really enjoying is menial tasks. These tasks that people normally sort of shy away from. Actually, at night time, You know, I did that video in which I put up some candles and I was exploring what was it like to have candles. That made me think a hell of a lot. It started to make me think, do you know what? We don't need these harsh lights all the time. Yes, electric light is very good. And actually, this may look like it's natural light in here, and I hope it does. But there is a light over there, and I've got one outside glaring at me to emulate sunlight because my kitchen is north facing. There's a building, my next door neighbour there, and then there's a supermarket at the back of me. So actually this is complete fakery, of course. It is my real kitchen and I really do these things, but I've had to put lights in. And so I rely on lights very much in order to do my filming, but I'm trying to sort of give this relaxed country look that I would love to live in the country with a lovely country garden and a bit of fields and woodland and nature all around me, but I don't have the money these days, and to live in a little village or in a place like that, it's very much for those who have got the cash, and I don't, not at the moment. And YouTube doesn't seem to be the way to go chasing money unless you have a very popular channel. And although mine is slowly creeping up on the viewers, it isn't actually getting there. But I like to have a reduced light, get rid of the harsh lights, and the candles were lovely. Last night I spent most of the evening in candlelight, and I was doing menial tasks. I was polishing my shoes. These are my walking boots, but I was polishing up my shoes to get them nice and shiny, something that I used to not do very often, and I would just make do. But there's something about, you know, that, as I say, things from the past, that feeling of pride, and polishing your shoes, I think, is very much what the poorest of people would do to keep themselves feeling that they were worth something, that they took pride, they would take pride. You would see these Victorian slums in the old photographs, and still the housewife, now I know it's sexist to say that, but it was the housewife back in those days who was scrubbing the stone, the doorstep, just outside the front door. And people, although they had very little, they did have pride in the English homes. Now, it might be different in other parts of the world. People would have done different things. But do you know, getting rid of the television and sitting maybe just with your own thoughts, with the SE going, perhaps with the radio, people like listening to the radio, or, as I say, with a gramophone. I'd love to get an old-fashioned gramophone with the 78s and the big horn, his master's voice. That would just suit me down to the ground, I think. Sitting here, doing what people used to do. There's something satisfying about being busy, about doing something, not at pace, just relaxed, doing it nice and easily without just flopping on a very comfortable sofa, munching inappropriate food that's full of fat and salt and terrible things, and just looking at other people on the telly. And I'm desperately trying to do, well, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that at all. So cleaning boots, cleaning shoes. Actually, I found these old things very enjoyable. What else have I been? Well, obviously washing up, but making and repairing things. I went through my clothes the other day and I threw out a whole load of clothes, carried the bags down to the charity shop. I said to them, these are only good for rags. And they said, that's fine. We have a rag man who comes and buys it and the charity earns some money from it. So I thought that was good. But some of the shirts, I've got buttons which have popped off. And I thought, I must learn how to put the buttons back on. It's not very difficult. It's a needle and thread. Put the buttons on rather than just throw them away or try and get around not having it or using safety pins as I have in the past. And so I'm going to be doing that, sitting down here by the Essie on the winter and spring evenings, even in the summer, because I have to have the Essie on all year round in the evenings because it heats my water and cooks my food and dries my clothes. But I think sitting here, listening to a podcast, perhaps watching an interesting YouTube video, reducing the amount I watch, but occasionally, I'm not saying I'm getting rid of everything, and putting on buttons. It's just doing something with the time that normally you would be flopped there and giving to somebody else, i.e. a big corporation, watching the television or Netflix or Amazon Prime and all of that. Now, other people may want to do that, and that's entirely up to them. I'm just saying that's the sort of thing I'm trying to avoid doing as much as I can. Maybe watch a DVD from some programs that I really want to watch from the past. That's quite pleasurable. Better, of course, is to have friends round and have a drink and talk. There's nothing better, I think, than having a few friends, even if it's just one other person, and getting into a lovely, relaxed conversation. Put the world to rights. Isn't that what the old inns and taverns and ale houses were for? People would go there, they would gather round, community, company, have a couple of drinks, put the world to rights, have a laugh, get the old endorphins going, and then go to bed and forget about it. That to me is living. That's living, rather than just watching other people and being spectators. Another thing that I'm trying to work out how to do, and that is to avoid as much as one can, and it's so difficult in this world now, the big corporations and supermarkets in particular. They say that supermarkets give you huge choice. And they give you choice, but it's a very limited choice on a large number of stuff. So if it's a type of potato that you want, it's only a small. If it's a type of carrot, it's usually just one type of carrot, two types of onions. If you wanted something a little bit more exotic or a little bit different, you usually can't get it from a supermarket. So ideally, from terms of fruit and veg, I would like to grow my own, of course. And people have often said, oh, some of these farm shops, they're just buying the stuff from the same suppliers as the supermarkets are being given and just up the price because people seem to think that it's different or whatever. And that may well be true. I'm not disputing that. And unless you grow it yourself, or you get it from a veg box scheme from somebody who does grow it on their own site, you're probably just getting the commercial product. Now you may say, well, what's wrong with that? But, and you know, it's up to you. But I want to try as well as possible have organic vegetables because I want to eat better and healthier and get all the nutrients that you could possibly get from the soil that goes into the plants and indeed the animal stock. So going back to my eating meat, I'm still only buying meat as much as I can from farm shops or from farms even that have their own cattle. So some stuff I've had to buy from supermarkets because, you know, we don't live in a 100% ideal world anymore. But talking about the veg boxes, for a while I tried out the scheme at Riverfords, who are down in Devon. Now I know that they're a bit bigger than they ever used to be, and you could argue that they're getting into sort of corporate structure, but I think the way it's run is that the profits go to the staff and into the farm. I don't think they have shareholders other than those that work there. So I think that's a good scheme. And there may be more local veg box from farms who grow organically. I need to find that out. I did try it and I did give up because I did think it was a bit pricey and it was difficult to organise. But I want to revisit that and see if that will work for me. I have been thinking about land, and I've been thinking about, should I rent somebody's garden? Should I rent a field? Trying to buy somewhere that is local is very difficult, but or indeed having an allotment. Now I've said I wouldn't have an allotment, and really and truly one of the problems about having an allotment is I know a lot of allotment people don't like you filming there if you're earning money, because I think it's actually, I don't know whether that's a statutory thing, but I think generally it's illegal to earn money, so you can't sell the stuff that you grow. And if you're earning money from your allotment, which technically, even though it's not very much on YouTube, if I was having an allotment and demonstrating the things that I grew, then I would be breaking those rules. Plus the fact there's plenty of people doing allotments on their videos, and I don't really want that to be a thing. I would rather have some field space. And in truth, I'd rather have a small holding with a house and a large garden, which I could then plough up and do things with, and all the different things. Because I'm interested in doing things looking back. So, you know, using a scythe, growing my own corn and making my own wheat and making my own bread, grinding my own flour. I would love to be much more self-sufficient like that. But at the moment, you know, it's very difficult when you don't have a lot of money to invest in the right place. And I don't want to go miles away from my immediate family and all my friends and people. So it does become a bit difficult. So it may be that I have to think that I can't do that at the moment. I still want to explore a lot of Englishness and get out into the van and do all of that. So perhaps the veg scheme is going to be for me. Now, one of the other things that I was talking about in recent versions of this has been a cutthroat razor. And I thought that would be quite interesting to look at how people used to do stuff, because we have these plastic and these big manufactured things, disposables, that's the word I was looking for, and they're quite popular. Or you can buy into these very expensive razors, these sort of safety razors that you replace the cartridge in, and you only get a few goes on that, then you throw it away. And they're incredibly expensive by the big manufactured names. And I was thinking cutthroat razor might be the answer. But then somebody said to me, he said, before you go and get a cutthroat razor, which is a steep learning curve, and you're likely to sort of lacerate yourself as you learn how to do this, one of the old traditional ways that came in was the old double-edged safety razor. So I thought that sounds interesting, sounds a bit old-fashioned. I'm going to look into that, and this is what I've found out. So here we go. I've bought one. This was about £14. I think there's some cheaper ones and there's some hell of a lot more expensive ones. And it is the double-edged razor. It's an old-fashioned gadget, and I need to shave not only my face but also my head, and using a cutthroat razor I think would be very difficult on my head. I want to reduce the amount of plastic that I'm using, and so this has been a brilliant suggestion. I have used it already. The head comes off like this and you get these two elements. Now of course there's going to be people out there who know exactly what this is all about. You get these old blades, you remember these? I mean, I remember, I think, my dad using this in years gone by, but then we had electric razors and we had the disposables. This goes on here. You have to be very careful because you don't want to slice your hand very easily. It goes on there. Then this connects to that, and as you screw it back in, it actually bends this flexible razor, curves it round just enough to be in exactly the right place, and then that is ready. And of course you have your brush and your shaving foam. And now, as I say, there's probably plenty of people who already do this and just think, well, I'm teaching you to suck eggs, and I'm not really. And of course, ordinarily, sorry, I'm at the sink here, ordinarily you'd damp your face, get it nice and soft with warm water, and I'm not going to give you a full shaving thing because there's plenty of videos that do that, but I just wanted to share this whole concept. And the thing about men, I don't know if women are the same, but I can tell you that certainly men, we like paraphernalia and doing things, and the plastic shaving disposable stuff just takes away the paraphernalia, and I like that. You know, you wet your face, you get your brush, you get your shaving foam, you've got your blades, you've got your razor, the actual unit, and it's all a bit of, you know, it's just paraphernalia. It's a bit of fun, and I love that. I don't want the big commercial companies to sort of say you don't need any of that, you just have this and you can, you know, scrape your face and go. No, actually I love the fact that one can spend a bit of time, and this is the thing about the menial tasks I'm talking about, is we think of them as menial tasks, but actually I'm beginning to learn to enjoy these things and enjoy the moment. It's that The importance of now business. Or the importance of, what is it? The importance of being in the moment. So there we go, look at that. Now obviously I wouldn't be wearing my shirt and my cravat and all of that. I would have taken that off. This is ridiculous. But have I got it? That's not quite. I haven't fully foamed this up. Hang on. I'm just aware that this is a bit of a long video and there's not that many edits and things like that. But normally I would do this a hell of a lot more properly. I need to get a nice little shaving bowl. There we go. It's a bit better, isn't it? We used the mirror. There we are. All round, like that's better. And then of course you'd warm this up, and I put it in a fresh blade, so I don't actually want to do this with my face being cold, but this is what we're talking about. And I can hear that cutting. I don't know if you can. And is there it's so difficult to tell if that's actually done anything. I think it has. And then on the other side, oh, I'm not very good left-handed. And allowing gravity, I'm told, is to do it. Anyway, I'm spending too much time. This is another little joy. I used to hate shaving, but now, thanks to this, and thank you to the person who got in touch and told me about it, I'm really enjoying it. So this is where I am, the simple life of doing things and enjoying those tasks. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron, support what I do. I will be out in the van and exploring things as the sunshine is coming and we have lots to explore together. Till next time, take care, bye-bye. Bye.